I think our bosses, our department, our what we call commander-in-chief, higher up, are gonna have to take a stand, has to come out and say, look, this is Mida Police Department, okay? They're all professionals, and they will all uphold to the best of their ability, okay, what they were taught to do. If there is a police officer that's either not doing his job or not serving the public the way he or she feels should be served, you have all the legal ramifications of taking his name, which we all have our names on our jackets, shirts, coats, whatever. And you can lodge a formal complaint, and it will be investigated. And if there is elements to believe that the officer has failed to do what he is paid to do, he shall be dealt with and reprimanded for. But, I mean, we're not going on a witch hunt here and saying now because of one incident, because of one officer, police should be all put under a microscope. Okay, and so I think that it's our department's boss that have to come up and defend their boys. Not once have I heard, following an incident where a police officer is involved in a shooting or dying of an individual in their custody, not once, as I've seen in my 30 years, have our police chief come on the same day of the incident, come and say, look, we're doing an ongoing investigation. Do not pass judgment. If you do, you're free to do so, but you have to understand here, we're not backing our own. We're not pretending that this didn't happen. We're going to investigate. But in the meantime, I stand by my officer. If he did what he did, I stand, as we speak, by my officer. I wish they would say this, but they stand by their officer. Not once have I seen this. I know that once you've obtained a certain level of police status upstairs, it becomes a political seat. And like politicians, they have to be very careful, what they say, how they say it, and who they say it. I understand that. But what I'm trying to say is that they've been police officers. They've all started the same way. I'm not sure if they forgot or if they just took another turn, to satisfy their future political agendas. But we just sometimes don't feel that our higher brass supports the lower street worker, the way they should. And so you're not defending his actions by saying, yes, he did what he did, and that's the way it is. But to say, look, as we speak, it just happened. As far as what I know, the police officer did what he had to do. And I back him 100% to what I know today. If tomorrow I'm told that following the investigation, certain things happened which I was not made aware of, you know what? There's ramifications of everyone's actions, and it will be dealt with in a severe manner. Trust me, I'll see to it that it gets done, because I will not let one officer tarnish the image and reputation of the whole 4,500 other police officers that are good workers, and they uphold their community with the highest respect that they've been taught to do. So I wish someone would do that, but they don't. They all will either hide from the media, or when they will speak, they're ready to throw the officer under the bus by saying, and I've seen this happen. We will find out what happened, and right now I've suspended the officer with pay or without pay, depends on the situation, or put him on administrative duties. And we will see. But if something happened that's not supposed to have happened, I'll see to it that he gets fired or he pays a price. That's not what we want to hear. Don't pass judgment. Report the facts. What you're told is there was a shooting. The police was involved in a shooting. Unfortunately, the individual that he was dealing with happened to succumb to his injuries. Okay, fine. You know, I mean, even in shows today, like we see that show 19-2, it's a television show that's about police. I mean, when we shoot to kill, the word itself, shoot to kill, we don't shoot to kill. We shoot to neutralize the subject. Obviously, you don't neutralize a subject. Any hunter would tell you that when you're out hunting and you want to shoot a moose, or whatever hunting game you're doing, you don't shoot so that you wound the animal. We are not trained to shoot. A lot of people would say, why don't you shoot at the hand, the leg, No, because we don't forget, we have our lives to think about. When I'm at a point to be using a weapon, such as called a gun, to defend myself, or the one that I'm paid to defend, or my partner, I mean, this is my ultimate last decision. It is not to scare the individual. It's to eliminate the threat. And to eliminate a threat is you make sure that that person doesn't stand up. You don't shoot to aim at a piece of arm that you've got so much where you gotta aim at, as opposed to the bigger part where your chances of hitting the bigger size as opposed to a smaller size are obvious. Don't forget, you have to be accounted for every shot you take. So you miss, it lodges somewhere else, then that you have to explain. So, we're told that we need to eliminate the subject. We don't shoot to kill people, but we do, use our weapon to neutralize the subject.
Speaking of investigations and officers, people will say that there could be some sort of favoritism that leads to an unjust resolution. Do you think that happens often? Do you think that's a possibility that should be accounted for? What do you think about that criticism?
When you refer to unjust solutions, you mean like not finding the people responsible guilty? But this is my argument, is like we are assuming that if we start an investigation, if he did shoot, he should be found guilty. I mean, there's a lot of people that make that assumption, that he shot for whatever reason, there's no justification to find him not guilty. I mean, then why are we investigating? I mean, there's a shooting, he's the guy who got the smoking gun. Let's go back to the days of Old West where they just throw the lasso over the tree and just hung the guy up. I mean, I understand people's reaction to not wanting to think that even though we're police officers, we will do our job professionally, not make it look like we protect our own. I understand that aspect, but at which point, if that would be the case, and they could prove that we are trying to either destroy evidence or hide stuff, well, who's ever doing this, should be dealt in a more severe fashion than the actual person that did the actual crime, if you want to call that a crime, okay? Because the individual who committed the incident, meaning the shooting, he did it based on elements that presented himself at that moment. So there was no premeditation, I don't think. As opposed to an individual does an investigation, he wants to protect his own, he's premeditating. The fact that he wants to hide certain elements, that to me, that would be a more severe crime than the one that ended up killing someone because he ended up going on a call and he felt his life was threatened, and his only way of getting out of that situation, it was to use what they give us, as the ultimate force. So people sometimes have to understand that regardless to what you may think, you should stand back a few minutes and look and find out, because we're not all the same. We wear the same uniform, but find out who's in the uniform, how they speak, and what they want to do. And usually people in general are good. Usually it's just that maybe the 2-3% of bad individuals will make the media and will be the forefront and the vocals of all the negative that you hear. It's sad because the people that believe in our system, believe in police, don't make that same effort of going to the media and saying, why are we bashing these guys? They're holding our streets safe. They're protecting us while we're asleep. They're there. Why do we, have these individuals being bashed? Are there some bad apples in a basket? Of course, I'll be the first to say. Do we have some bad police? No question. In no different facet of any society. There's going to be bad, people. Probably shouldn't have become police officers. Maybe they were good at the beginning. Something happened where they got turned, and now they just, I guess, fed up, or they built this animosity of their job, and now they're just seeking revenge, and they got the power of the badge, and they think they could get away with a lot of things. But in the late few years, as we can see, there's been some major arrests where our own has been, put to jail. And so we tend to think that we do police ourselves in a good fashion. Now they wanted to put this independent, investigation, which on a personal level for me, I think it's great. I don't have a problem with that because, like I said, I believe when you do something right, no matter who says the story, it'll always come out the same. You're not covering up. So whether it's an investigation from the department or whether it's an outside intervention, the facts speak for themselves. So I don't have a problem with that. Recently they were talking about camcorders, body packs they're putting on police officers. They ask us, do you think that's a good idea for police officers? I've been always advocating this for the very beginning, 30 years, that we should be carrying, cameras on us. It will make our job so much more easy. I mean, seriously, we don't have to, write down what happened. We would just tell them, our bosses or the prosecutors, says, here you go. Especially when it comes to the DUI, that's driving under the influence. That would be just great. We didn't, lose half of we'd win probably 99% of the cases because a lot of, lawyers will contest our abilities or inabilities to having given the guys those rights, having done the right tests, having, made sure that, the individual in question that we claim he was he intoxicated from alcohol? Was he tired? Was he not, Whereas when you have an image, they say image is worth 1,000 words. Buddy, this is your client. This is what he looked like. Be my guest. Defend him now. It works. It works. So I've been a strong advocate of body cams for the longest time. So it would have benefited us a lot.